නමෝ තස් භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස් භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස් භගවතෝ අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස සාදු සාදු සාදු.
10. Satipatthana Sutta, the foundations of mindfulness. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living in the Kuru country, where there was a town of the Kurus named Kamasadama. There he addressed the bhikkhus thus: Bhikkhus, Venerable Sir, they replied. The Blessed One said this. 2. Bhikkhus, this is the direct path for the purification of beings, for the surmounting of sorrow and lamentation, for the disappearance of pain and grief, for the attainment of the true way, for the realization of Nibbana, namely the four foundations of mindfulness. 3. What are the four? Here, bhikkhus. A bhikkhu abides contemplating the body as a body, ardent, fully aware, and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. He abides contemplating feelings as feelings, ardent, fully aware, and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. He abides contemplating mind as mind, ardent, fully aware, and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world. He abides contemplating mind objects as mind objects, ardent, fully aware, and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world.
Thank you. So from today onwards, for a few weeks, we will be reading this discourse, which is very familiar to you all, Satipatthana Sutta. And this is the opening of the sutra that just he read. And we will go with that details because there are a few things that we need to clarify. So we have number of new people here, and then they should know, and even those who have already known this sutra, is beneficial to know more details. The Buddha was dwelling in Kuru country named Kammasadhamma. This Kuru country is located in New Delhi. There's a place that we can pilgrimage where Buddha taught Satipatthana Sutra. So that's what they have recognized. And then, so we take as it is. Here, Satipatthana Sutra is taught as a direct path, as the direct path for all practitioners, as a way for the liberation. And I just want to make a clarification for this direct path. In Pali, in the sacred language, it says Ekayano Maggo. Ekayano Maggo, the meaning of it is only path. The direct path means the only path. But when it comes to in Sinhala language, they say only path, not the direct path. And then many of the interpreters, teachers teach, I've seen and heard, they teach as the only path is breathing meditation, which is incorrect. It is not about only the breathing meditation. It's about all foundations of mindfulness. That's why Buddha has uttered everything together in this sutra as the direct path. So what is four? And why this Satipatthana Sutra or the teachings as described as the direct path? This is the purpose. For the purification of beings. Sattanang Visuddhya. And for the surmounting of sorrow and lamentation. Soka Pariddavanang Samatikkamaya. Soka is sorrow, Parideva is lamentation. For the disappearance of pain and grief, Dukkha Domanassanang Attangamaya. For the attainment of true way, Nyayasa Adhigamaya. For the realization of Nibbana, Nibbanasa Satchikiriyaya. So by practicing these Satipatthanas, one can purify oneself. Beings can, those who practice, they can purify themselves. That's why it says, for the purification of beings. What we have to purify? We are all hindered and clouded, and we all are driven by the defilements, taints. And then we are able to purify ourselves by practicing mindfulness or these foundations. And why we sorrow and lament, why we worry, why we frustrate, why we are going through these sad things? Because of those defilements, hindrances, unknowingness. And then it is a way to overcome sorrow and lamentation, soka and parideva. And then when we overcome sorrow and lamentation, the mental and the physical pain and grief will be disappeared. Because with the understanding, there is no grieving, there is no painful feelings. Because mind does not help for them. Dukkha, pain, described as pain here, that's a physical experience. Domanassa is grieving, it is the mental experience. And then attainment of true way, Nyaya Sadhigamaya, which means attaining to the stages of enlightenment. Sotapanna, stream entry. Sakadagami, one's returner stage. Anagami, non-returner stage. Arahant, the enlightenment. That's the Nyaya Sadhigamaya, or having the wisdom or awakening oneself by attaining to the stages of Nibbana. And then for the realization of Nibbana, the ultimate outcome is becoming an enlightened, becoming or awakening oneself. This is the outcome of this practice. It doesn't mean, so when we practice Satipatthana Sutra, then we'll come to the Nibbana only. So Satipatthana Sutra is a summary of all teachings that Buddha had taught. That's why we call it direct path. Once a monk came to the Buddha and asked, Bhante, we call wholesome. What is wholesome? Then Buddha said, if someone practices four foundation of mindfulness or satipatthanas, that calls wholesome. And again, there's another teaching. We have to stay within the father's inheritance. So children, as long as the children is aware of and being surrounded by father's inheritance and under his guidance, they are protected. They are secure. Also, all the practitioners, monastics and lay followers, if they are surrounded by four satipatthanas, or if they are practicing four satipatthanas, so if they live within the satipatthanas, which is the Buddha's inheritance, we all are safe. We all are secured. We all are well protected from the Mara. If we are out of that, if we disregard of that, if we are careless of satipatthanas, we are not within the Buddha's parameters or in satipatthanas, and then Mara can overpower us. Mara can overpower us. As long as all the practitioners within the satipatthanas, Mara cannot overpower us. The evil one cannot distract us. That's why this teaching is more important. And so what are these four? The contemplating of the body and the mind and the feelings and the mind objects. But we have to focus here. The practitioner, Bhikkhu means the practitioner, can be a monastic or lay practitioner. And that person, the practitioner, is fully aware of the body, contemplate on the body. And he is ardent and fully aware and fully mindful. And why he practices that? When he observes the body as the body, that person can overpower or remove or get rid of covetousness and grief for the world. We all have abhijja and domanassa. Abhijja is covetousness, defined is in a greedy, as greediness, endless greediness, abhijja. So we start from the pleasures, liking and acceptance and loving things that can develop or cultivate as covetousness or unlimited craving or greediness, endless greediness. In Pali, in the teaching, it says covetousness or abhijja is something that we expect to have something that others have, and we crave for it. And we keep waiting, oh, they have, but I don't have. When I can obtain that which is others have, we keep craving, but sometimes we cannot afford, it's not affordable for us. But still we keep craving for it, which called covetousness. But some of them we cannot obtain or accomplish. We cannot fulfill our wishes. But still we keep waiting for it. That called covetousness. In Pali we call it yantang parassapara vittupakarnan tam mamasati abhijita hoti. So if something is belong to others, then I also expect to have it, but it's not the intention of stealing, but the intention of having it. The deep craving or greediness to have those. That is endless. And then grieving is domanassa. It's translated as here grieving. Domanassa is willingness of seeing others suffering or blood, how they suffer, how they worry. In Pali, Vinaya Loke, Abhijja Domanassam. Vinaya means then Satipatthana helps to overcome, control, manage, and understand this covetousness and grieving of a person. So that's why we have to focus on these four contemplations, because the bodily contemplation helps to overcome lust and the hatred which arise from the body. And then the other contemplation is about the mind, mental activities, the feelings, the mind, and the mind objects. There's another way to see this. Kayanupassana, or the bodily contemplation, is has taught to overcome the form, understand, or overcome the clinging to the form aggregate. The bodily contemplation is taught to understand the form aggregate. And then feeling contemplation is taught to understand the feeling aggregate. And the mind contemplation is taught to understand the consciousness aggregate. And mind objects contemplating or contemplation is taught to understand perception and volitional formation, sanya and sankhara. So that's the purpose of practicing Satipatthana. So therefore, it is important to understand and practice on this. Also, it covers everything which we have to practice. It provides all the details. So this is the background of Satipatthana according to my understanding. And from here, we're going to focus on these contemplations. There are few bodily contemplations. First, we will spend time with that, and then feelings, and then the mind and the mind objects. Here, this bodily contemplation we already have started to practice. This is a practice. It is not just a lesson. for our notebook. It's a practice. We have to apply this, then we'll get the outcome. So we already know the breathing meditation, but we will go through it. I would like to start with the second and the third contemplation of the body before we coming to the breathing meditation, to maintain the sequence of this practice. Then I can give homeworks to you to practice during this week. Let's read this number 2 and number 3 here. 4 postures and full awareness, then we'll discuss it.
2. The 4 postures. 6. Again, bhikkhus. When walking, a bhikkhu understands, I am walking. When standing, he understands, I am standing. When sitting, he understands, I am sitting. When lying down, he understands, I am lying down. Or he understands accordingly, however his body is disposed. 7. In this way, he abides contemplating the body as a body internally, externally, and both internally and externally. And he abides independent, not clinging to anything in the world. That too is how a bhikkhu abides, contemplating the body as a body. 3. Full awareness. 8. Again, bhikkhus. A bhikkhu is one who acts in full awareness when going forward and returning, who acts in full awareness when looking ahead and looking away, who acts in full awareness when flexing and extending his limbs, who acts in full awareness when wearing his robes and carrying his outer robe and bowl, who acts in full awareness when eating, drinking, consuming food, and tasting, who acts in full awareness when defecating and urinating, who acts in full awareness when walking, standing, sitting, falling asleep, waking up, talking, and keeping silent. 9. In this way, he abides contemplating the body as body internally, externally, and both internally and externally. And he abides independent, not clinging to anything in the world. That too is how a bhikkhu abides contemplating the body as a body.
Thank you. So here, from today till next Wednesday, your practice is the 4 postures and the full awareness. You already know this, but I want you to practice this continuously. So 4 postures are taught to maintain the mindfulness when we change our bodily movements. We have 4 postures: walking, standing, and sitting and lying down. Now we all are sitting, and then we have to stand up, and then we have to walk, then we'll lie down. And why Buddha recommended to maintain the mindfulness of these postures? That because our mind is so tricky, and the mind can bring any type of unwholesome thoughts to us. And then if we are not mindful, it doesn't matter which posture, which way we keep the body, mind always being unmindful and create unwholesomes, which is harmful for the practice. Unwholesomes means we can be hindered. So many hindrances can be overpowered us. In order to overcome or suppress the hindrances, we are asked to focus on the four postures while we are moving here and there. It is completely aligned with the full awareness. Then in full awareness, we are asked to maintain the complete awareness or mindfulness with the bodily activities. On these four postures, we do not just being there. Now while we are sitting, we being mindful and we being conversing, and we have listening, we talk and we meditate. Those all include for this full awareness then. And then it says, whatever we do, we have to be mindful with all the movements. Walking back and forth, looking around, and then eating, drinking, wearing clothes, and whatever the bodily activity, at least when we urinate, defecate, taking a shower, and when we are sleepy, when we sleep, also when we are silent, we need to be mindful. That means in all aspects, we are supposed to practice, be aware of our mind, that because we should not distract ourselves. That's the meaning of it. So therefore, I want you to maintain full awareness, mindfulness with your bodily activities during this week. Then I will check the homework when we meet. And then we can move to the other teaching, breathing and the other contemplations of the body. We can have more details on that. So as a startup, I would request you all to go through this practice. And if you have any concerns, we can take them. Yes, Sister Jessica?
Bhante, can you please elaborate further on number 7? In this way, he advised contemplating body as body internally, externally, and both internally and externally. What does it mean? Thank you,
Yeah,
Bhante.
so that is, there are two sides of this practice, which is Samatha and Vipassana. Samatha is the contemplation, Vipassana is the insight. We call that's the direct path for the Nibbana. So I will park it for now. I just want to contemplate first, then this Vipassana insight part is completely aligned with all the contemplations. So I will take them a bit later, not today though.
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
Bhante,
Yes, sister.
one question. What's the difference? Mindfulness and contemplation, is there a difference in the quality of the mind, the thought or the thinking or the practice? Because I think we are hearing mindfulness, we are also hearing contemplation.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So contemplation to me is focusing or being aware of. It's another way is being mindful. But I think according to the Pali translation, the translator used contemplation to say to maintain your awareness or looking at on it. But when we elaborate and when we go through these each words, they looks like same. And even I don't see the big difference. But sometimes translators, interpreters say mindfulness of the body. And here they translate as contemplating. So the contemplation is basically for me is being focused. That's how I understood.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, do not worry about the vipassana or insight part of this. Just focus on the contemplate or the first part, samatha, and then there are more details about vipassana or insight. I can provide them later, but first you have to get into the contemplation. I know there are some few people here who practice vipassana, but I just want to go everyone together in this group without mixing, because we have a number of new meditators. I don't want them to confuse. So we have to stick together with the journey here. Therefore, please be patient, and we'll talk about vipassana later in another week. Is there any other concerns?
Bhante, when you ask us to contemplate on the mindfulness of the body, do we also actually look at our thoughts at the same time? Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, sister. So, looking at thoughts is a different thing, but yes, when let's say, when we are keeping silent, being silent, we know the mind is being silent and we being aware of it. Also, when we focus on the bodily movements, we know the mind is there. And what is we have to do is that even though we are sitting or walking or we move with the other activities, we feel the mind and we need to be aware of that. What is the state of the mind at the moment? Sometimes while sitting, we can have number of harmful thoughts. Here, with the contemplation, we do not judge what is arising. It doesn't matter whether wholesome or unwholesome. We try to be aware of what is arising, but we try our best to not to create or generate any unwholesome thoughts. That mindfulness or awareness helps to remove unwholesome arrivals and then continue with the wholesome thoughts.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you. And if anyone, including Sister Jenny, if you have any other synonyms for contemplation as Sister M questioned, please feel free to share any other similar words.
For me, Bhante, another word is to ponder.
Right.
Yes. Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, sister. Okay, so we can wrap the program and do the Anumodana.